Number 10. Cheating allegations. Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck have had an on-again, off-again romance that has been going on since the 2000s, with fans even nicknaming the couple bennifer. I mean, these two just got married this year, after they first got engaged nearly 2 decades ago. But the timeline of their relationship is a huge red flag, and it included alleged cheating. So in July of 2002, Lopez filed for divorce from her second husband, Chris Judd, citing irreconcilable differences. But this news broke just months after Lopez had wrapped the movie JLo alongside her then boyfriend Ben. Even though she vehemently denied cheating rumors, Ben took out an ad in The Hollywood Reporter gushing about Lopez before her divorce wasn't yet finalized. In fact, even Chris Judd's father, Larry, spoke out against the couple and accused JLo of being unfaithful to his son. He insinuated that the affair started during the filming of JLo. Quote, "I thought Mr. Affleck would honor a married woman and not just go right into the trailer," and added that she'd be happier if she'd just tell the truth and no one in her little circle is going to say one negative thing to her. But we'll never really know the truth of what happened. Number 9. Sharing the stage. JLo didn't hold back when it came to her opinion on sharing the stage with Shakira at the 2020 Super Bowl halftime show. In her newly released documentary called Halftime, she labeled it as the worst idea in the world. Quote, "If it was going to be a double headliner, they should have given us 20 minutes. That's what they should have effing done." Basically, it turns out that Jennifer was frustrated with the NFL for booking 2 headliners and making them share the same amount of time that any solo performer would receive, as opposed to doubling it and giving the women extra time to shine. As a result, fans slammed the artist for coming off as entitled. While it's true that they only gave the performers 6 minutes each, the action-packed show garnered immense praise from fans across the globe, with many fans commending the women for showcasing their Latin heritage so brilliantly. What JLo was really mad about though is that previous solo headliners like Beyonce and The Weeknd received 14 minutes to perform, but judging by her complaints, it's clear that she feels offended that they asked her to share the stage at all. Number 8. Music theft. The star has been accused of stealing and borrowing background tracks and vocals from other artists for years. One of the stars who accused her of doing this was Usher in 2005. He claimed that she stole a song that he cast aside while recording his hugely successful album called Confessions. Usher claimed that JLo's single Get Right is actually a re-recorded version of Ride, a song that he co-wrote the year before, which was only available online. He said, quote, "I hate it, but I'd better get some of the publishing rights or else. I didn't put it on my album because I couldn't get it right, but I didn't expect JLo to just take it." And apart from being accused of stealing the same sample song that Mariah Carey used for Loverboy, JLo was also given songs that were initially intended for Ashanti, which is why a lot of people claim what happened between the two artists was straight up music theft. In September of 2001, Lopez released I'm Real from her second studio album, JLo, that she worked on with Irv Gotti. But the song was already recorded and mixed with Ashanti's vocals, which is why you can still hear her background vocals in Lopez's version. Number 7. Makeup artist feud. Scott Barnes, who worked for JLo for the past 20 years, has had to deal with so much of the star's crazy hot and cold behavior. In the mid-2000s, the star essentially banished her longtime makeup artist, Scott Barnes, after rumors surfaced that someone had leaked info to the press about her and Mark Anthony's secret marriage ceremony. Speaking on the Jeff Probst show in 2012, when asked about how JLo treated him, he said, quote, "It was like I had the plague." But interestingly enough, eventually she ended up giving Barnes his old job back again after learning the truth, but apparently failed to apologize for being so cold and ruthless towards him. I mean, she literally cut him off without a word and blamed him for the leak without even confronting him. Barnes went on to say, quote, "I went right back to work with her and we just never spoke about it again," which is even weirder. The funny thing is, her celebrity makeup artist would go on to work with her for another 6 years and insisted that they remain on good terms despite the fact that she ghosted him and didn't even apologize for it. Number 6. The Mark Anthony romance. Celebrity gossip magazines could not get enough of the power couple in the early 2000s. They were absolutely everywhere and it seemed like fans loved the pairing. But their beginnings as a couple were super questionable to say the least. Anthony married former Miss Universe Dayanara Torres in 2000, while Lopez was dating Ben Affleck roughly around the same time. But the on-again, off-again couple picked their romance back up while Anthony was still married to Dayanara. So less than a week after Anthony's divorce was finalized, the couple surprised fans by getting married in a small, all-casual ceremony in her Beverly Hills home in early June. It really begs the question of whether or not JLo was some kind of homewrecker, because the timeline of the rekindled relationship seems really off. I mean, he actually broke Dayanara's heart, and she said, quote, "You go through hell. I cried until there were no tears left, until I was numb. I didn't want to eat, I didn't care to get dressed or take a shower, I just wanted to lie there." Anthony's feelings for Jennifer might have been there all along because the two had history, but he should have put way more thought into who he chose to marry in the first place. So in a way, they're both at fault here. Number 5. Insensitive comments. To give you some background on why everyone felt that JLo was trashing belly dancing. So a part of the 2020 Super Bowl performance featured young dancers sitting in glowing cages, which many people assume represented the immigrant children in cages at the US border. But she apparently had a hard time convincing the NFL to do this, and said, quote, "I'm trying to give you something with substance, not just us out there shaking our effing asses and effing belly dancing." She went on to say that she wants something real, something that's gonna make a statement, something that's gonna say we belong here and we have something to offer. Now, if you're confused about why that was so controversial, essentially she compared the art of belly dancing to just shaking your butt for the hell of it. In fact, that particular line was shared across Twitter and people were big mad. It was just a little culturally insensitive to say, considering the fact that the dance has long been associated with Middle Eastern cultures, and it's something that Shakira has become known for, using it to channel her father's Lebanese Syrian Arab roots. Number 4. Avoiding the Bronx. This one, train wreck of an ad campaign, led people to openly mock both Chrysler and Jennifer Lopez. The central premise of the ad was that sometimes JLo will drive through her old hood in the South Bronx in a Fiat 500 just to stay inspired. Although it sounds ridiculous, the marketing campaign obviously tried to draw on the singer's famous Jenny from the Block era. Most people recognize the song in which she pays tribute to growing up in the Bronx, which had been a solid part of her image since the 90s. In fact, the singer even titled her debut album On the 6, which is a clear reference to the New York subway train. A press release at the time even stated that she would be traveling through the streets of Manhattan to the Bronx where she grew up. But the ad backfired when the Smoking Gun reported that Lopez never actually went to the Bronx to film the ad, and that a body double stand-in was used instead, calling it, quote, "such a breathtaking assemblage of urban cliches," and that was putting it lightly. Number 3. The movie line interview. The infamous movie line interview in 1998 that could have almost ruined JLo's career was truly worse than you can imagine. She was 27 at the time and fresh off the success of her film Selena. She basically decided to trash all the other celebrities that were big at the time and tried to trivialize their career and contribution to the industry. In fact, when asked about Madonna, she actually said, quote, "Do I think she's a great performer? Yeah. Do I think she's a great actress? No. Acting is what I do, so I'm harder on people when they say, oh, I can do that, I can act. And I'm like, hey, don't spit on my craft." It was so ironic because JLo would go on to do both music and acting for the rest of her career, and critics also trashed her acting on the big screen. Also, at the time, Madonna had been a star for a lot longer than JLo, so there was no real comparison there. And when Gwyneth Paltrow was brought up, Jennifer almost seemed to laugh and made it clear that she didn't take her fellow actress's career seriously. Quote, "Tell me what she's been in. I swear to God, I don't remember anything she was in. Some people get hot by association. I heard more about her and Brad Pitt than I ever heard about her work." Yikes. Number 2. Accusations of racism. 20 years ago, Lopez was approaching full actualization as an entertainer, but a single from her second album, JLo, almost derailed her career entirely. The Murder Inc. remix of I'm Real, which features Ja Rule and Own Radio in 2001, was ruined by the N-bomb that she drops in her final verse. The issue was that the song was an instant hit, so much so that 10 years later, in 2011, Billboard gave it the 6th spot on its 40 biggest duets of all time list. But rightfully so, people were outraged by her use of the loaded term, not only because she's a Latina artist, but at her level of success, where she has a platform and sets an example to young fans, using such a derogatory word is at best offensive. But as the accusation accusations of racism started to mount against the star, she eventually spoke out to defend her actions on the Today Show. Quote, "For anyone who thinks or suggests that I'm racist is really absurd and hateful to me." Although many people think this is not an excuse, it was later revealed that the track was actually written by Ja Rule himself, and apparently he encouraged her to say it. And number 1, fired a maid. This one is really indefensible. Jennifer Lopez allegedly got a German hotel maid fired for asking for an autograph. Frey Dodaj was a staff member at the luxury Melia Hotel in Dusseldorf, Germany during Lopez's stay in 2012. She was a big fan of JLo and worked up the courage to knock on the star's hotel door in Dusseldorf to ask for an autograph and was promptly turned away. Frey claims that she was relieved from her post the day after the incident. She told The Sun, quote, "I am an incredibly big fan, so I took all my courage and rang the doorbell to get an autograph, but I was rejected by 2 assistants at the door. A day later, the cleaning company that employed me at the hotel called and said that Miss Lopez had complained. I was fired right there on the phone." If the incident really happened, it's hard to ignore the irony when you remember that Jennifer played a hotel maid in the movie Made in Manhattan. After receiving a rightful amount of backlash, the pop star wrote on Twitter, quote, "Come on, thought you knew me better than this, would never get anyone fired over an autograph. First I heard of this was on Twitter, #hurtful.
At number 10, we have radio show host and interviewer Howard Stern, whose reasonings for not liking JLo comes in many forms. For one, he hates her music. Howard's typical musical vibe is 90s rock and grunge rather than early 2000s pop. But not only does Howard not enjoy Jennifer's music, he's also bashed it in the form of jokes on numerous occasions despite his attraction to fairly few pop songs in the past. In summary, it was Howard Stern's show co-host Robin who made claims while they watched her on the floor music video that radio stations were hesitant to play the song since she hadn't been charting for a while. Apparently, to further this point, he described that the relevance of JLo being a judge on American Idol kind of forced the song down consumers' throats, and Howard later accused Jennifer of being self-absorbed because the single debuted on American Idol. Howard further bashed her Super Bowl performance and even ridiculed Jimmy Fallon's praises for it as well. There was also the incident where Howard claims he spent the entirety of his run-in with his friend Mark Anthony, who was married to Jennifer at the time, being completely ignored. This further pushed the established reputation of Jennifer being a snotty diva. Howard's last straw was Jennifer's interview, where she was asked if she found Howard attractive, and remained silent while expressing a puking expression. Since then, Howard has not let up on the insults about her attitude, music, and business choices whenever she's brought up on his show. At number 9, we have Jennifer's dismissal of bad teacher actress Cameron Diaz when she made the comment that she believes Cameron is a quote, lucky model who's been given a lot of opportunities, and how she wishes she would have done more with them. In turn, Cameron made a statement that Jennifer's behavior on set was rather cold, as she pretty much ignored her. She also described Jennifer as being someone who was hard to work with. As a clapback, Cameron further pushed that JLo should stick to her day job of singing. However, in the same Jennifer interview, it wasn't just Cameron that she came for. She also took shots at fellow actresses Gwyneth Paltrow and Winona Ryder. For Gwyneth, Jennifer said, "Tell me what she's been in? I swear to God, I don't remember anything she was in. Some people get hot by association. I heard more about her and Brad Pitt than I ever heard about her work." On Winona, Jennifer recalled, "I was never a big fan of hers. In Hollywood, she's revered. She gets nominated for Oscars, but I've never heard anyone in the public or among my friends say, 'Oh, I love her.'" At number 8, we have Gloria Estefan's shade to Jennifer for her halftime documentary spiel about performing with Shakira for the 2020 Super Bowl. When Gloria admitted she chose not to participate with no regrets, she blasted Jennifer's comments about their experience when she sat down with Andy Cohen on Watch What Happens Live in June. Quote, "Imagine what JLo would have said if I was third. I literally would come out, done, shake your booty, and out. It was their moment. Plus, I didn't want to go on a diet in December." This was in light of JLo's reaction to Shakira co-headlining the sports event. Benny Medina said in the film that it was insulting of the Super Bowl to request 2 Latina artists when one had already historically done the work. Yet Jennifer was the one who was upset about splitting her time on stage, stating that they only had 5 minutes to sing all their desired songs accurately. Quote, "We have to have our singing moments. This is the worst idea in the world to have 2 people do the Super Bowl." While Jennifer and Shakira communicated about their upcoming performance, Jennifer added, "They said 12 minutes. I got a good confirmation that we could have an extra minute or 2, so now we're at like 13-14 minutes. I think think, Shakira, what we should have is you should have half the time and I should. If it was going to be a double headliner, they should have given us 20 minutes. That's what they should have effing done. At number 7, we have singer Brandy, who was apparently picking sides when the Lopez-Carey feud was at its peak. Brandy had shared an Instagram photo of her embracing Mariah in 2017 with a short 3-word caption of #SheKnows Me. Brandy's followers were on her like water as soon as the post was uploaded, speculating that the caption had everything to do with Mariah's famously memed "I don't know her." In response, Brandy denied there being any drama, rearranging the captions and then say, "I swear I don't know what the fuss is about. I love this pic and everyone thinks I'm throwing shade. At who? This is funny. Can't take this one down. I love this picture. And whenever I'm throwing shade, it's not questionable. You know that I am." Brandy also continued unapologetically with, "I've met her several times like the several seats that should be taken. She does know me." And if things couldn't get any shadier, Mariah made sure to clear things up in Brandy's comments with a simple "I sure do." At number 6, we have JLo's first husband, Ohani Noah. Despite their marriage being short-lived and ending as of 1998, it seems Ohani still can't stand Miss Jenny from the block. Their 9-month marriage apparently wasn't all that great, as Ohani had been working hard to slander his ex-wife's name on a number of occasions. Back in 2006, Ohani published a tell-all titled The Unknown Truth, a passionate portrait of a serial thriller. JLo halted this project with a lawsuit and claimed that Ohani was breaking their confidentiality agreement. Jennifer won $545,000 in damages, and Ohani was given a court date which forbid him from criticizing, denigrating, casting in a negative light, or otherwise disparaging Jennifer. In the next 3 years, Ohani threw himself back into news outlets when he made threats to release a sexually suggestive video of Jennifer that was filmed during their honeymoon and resulted in another $10 million lawsuit. In 2016, his appearance on $1 Million Matchmaker saw Ohani claiming he loaded the blame on Jennifer for their split and how he was looking forward to spending a lifetime with her before she chose her career over him. At number 5, we have former NBC World of Dance TV host and mentor Jenna Dewan, who sat on the panel with then executive producer Jennifer. Although the two dancers and celebrities seemed fine during the 2017 reality dance competition tapings, their animosity behind the scenes apparently ran deep. An unnamed outlet source once stated on Jenna's behalf that Jenna, quote, "can't stand Jen's over-the-top theatrical fakery," adding that Jen never fails to ham it up when the cameras are rolling and she hijacks the show. It seems she'd prefer if Jenna just stayed in the background. Every situation, even off camera, is micromanaged by JLo, and Jenna feels very excluded. This alleged feud seemed to be squashed fairly quickly though when Gossip Cop reached out to a show producer and one of Jenna's reps and was informed that the reported beef was misleading. However, given Jennifer's past, can we really be sure of this? At number 4, we have actress Rosie Perez. She and Jennifer apparently had lifelong ties with one another that seemed great on the outside. But both Puerto Rican dancers raised in New York have zero love for each other, according to Rosie's 2014 Handbook for an Unpredictable Life memoir. In it, Rosie discusses working on In Living Color with Jennifer in a wickedly horrible light. Quote, "All the girls were coming into my office complaining how she was manipulating wardrobe, makeup, and me all to her advantage." Despite Jennifer dipping from ILC after 2 seasons, Rosie stuck with her words of Jennifer supposedly keeping the flame of their feud burning for years after they parted. The words on the pages of Rosie's book portrayed Jennifer to be a two-faced person who would crap on Rosie 1 minute but then act super sweet like nothing happened between them the next. At number 3, we have artist Rihanna, who seemed to be unimpressed by Jennifer after the star posted herself chilling with Rihanna's on-again off-again reported love interest Drake backstage at her 2016 Winter Vegas show. Naturally, Jennifer's snap captioned, "Look who rolled up at my show tonight to say hi, #LoveHim," sparked massive dating rumors. And it probably didn't help that Jennifer uploaded a follow-up pic of her and Drake bear hugging and looking overly comfortable snuggling up. While many were unconvinced about the headlines, Rihanna was seemingly not here for any of it, which is why she reportedly went on to dub Jennifer as a desperate traitor. According to an unnamed insider who spoke to Touch, Rihanna had felt like she experienced the ultimate betrayal by Jennifer, since they once had a tight-knit bond where Rihanna could seek solace in Jennifer for her relationship. Rihanna did not publicly address their rumored issues, however, she did seem to throw some shade when she suddenly hit the unfollow button on JLo's Insta. At number 2, we have Nicki and Jennifer's heated back and forth jabs that started with an exchange during a 2012 American Idol episode, where Nicki performed and Jennifer was a judge. When the female rapper completed her set, she boldly asked, "I was hoping maybe I could come back and be a guest judge. JLo, can you scoot over a bit?" To which Jennifer immediately quipped, "I don't know if there's enough room for the both of us." Nicki seemed to hold on to that comment when she attempted to smooth things over back with The Hollywood Reporter, saying, "She didn't seem to be having it, but she's gonna have it. We were just joking around." However, in 2015, things were still just as messy when Jennifer opened the American Music Awards performing a medley of songs which included Nicki's hit Anaconda. Nicki seemed to be unimpressed by her performance, as the camera gave away her emotionless expression in, which told us everything we needed to know, as one fan hinted. Nicki came to Jennifer's defense at that point though, when she fired back with a tweet to a fan explaining, "I'm looking at my own face on the screen when I'm looking to the right. I turn back and look at her." At number 1, we have the iconic "I don't know her" rivalry that has been carried out for years now. This beef has been ongoing since the early 2000s, with both stars being repeatedly questioned on whether or not they actually like each other. It seems they can't really decide though. Host Andy Cohen brought up their beef on his show in 2014, where Jennifer nonchalantly played the situation off with, "I don't have a feud against her at all. I've read things she said about me that were not the greatest, but we don't know each other. I would love to meet her and I would love to be friends with her." However, she told Wendy Williams the exact opposite in 2016 for her show, explaining, "She's forgetful, I guess. We've met many times." Andy went straight to the source to speak with Mariah that same year, and in response, Mariah reiterated, "I don't know her. What am I supposed to say?" Jennifer of course took this as major shade, and when people were flaming Mariah for her quote disastrous New Year's Eve performance that winter, Jennifer threw some shade of her own by liking a post referring to Mariah's performance as a train wreck. It seems Mariah got the final laugh though, because she made it rain shade in her 2020 memoir, The Meaning of Mariah Carey, where she revealed her feud with Jennifer on top of slamming Jennifer's ex-husband and former CEO of Sony Music, Tommy Mottola, for allegedly attempting to ruin her career with Jennifer's help. Mariah claimed Tommy tried to sabotage the Glitter soundtrack Firecracker, and pushed that the movie's lead single Lover did not go unnoticed by Sony executives. Mariah also added that Sony rushed to make a single for another female entertainer on their label.
Ben Affleck has been a staple in Hollywood for decades. When he and Jennifer Lopez first got together, the resulting media frenzy permanently changed the way tabloids behaved around celebrities. There's more media coverage of that relationship, dubbed bennifer, than there was of actual wars breaking out at the same time. Ben himself has basically always been a contentious figure, and everyone who cares about the lives of actors has something to say about Ben, whether good or bad. People hate him for his acting and hate him even more for his conduct off screen, especially on the heels of his dramatic divorce from Jennifer Garner, and now getting back together with JLo. There are a few people out there who have legitimate reasons for their hesitancy to sing the praises of Ben. Now, this is in no particular order, but let's get into the celebrities who tried to warn us about Ben Affleck. First and foremost, Hillary Burton. Back in 2008, Hillary Burton, an actress in Lethal Weapon, had been a co-host for MTV's Total Request Live. The show was a daily music video countdown that ran for 10 years. On the show, she would interview various celebrities and ask them their opinions on music and catch up with their lives and stuff. Very casual hangout style interviews. Anyways, in an incident that was caught on video, Ben behaved extremely inappropriately towards Hillary. He grabbed her non-consensually and groped her. The video resurfaced in 2017 at the height of the Me Too movement, when one Twitter user posted, quote, "Affleck also grabbed Hillary Burton's breasts on TRL once. Everyone forgot though." The tweet got enough attention that Hillary herself saw it and replied, quote, "I didn't forget." In a later tweet, she recalled, quote, "I had to laugh back then so I wouldn't cry." She then thanked the user who posted the video and brought up the encounter. Quote, "Seriously, thank you for that. I was a kid." I guess she had felt that her situation with Ben was pretty much swept under the rug, which is pretty right, honestly. I had no idea about the story at all until 2017, and let's just say that Ben's apology left quite a bit to the imagination. He tweeted out, quote, "I acted inappropriately towards Miss Burton and I sincerely apologize." And that's it. I know when it comes to cases like this, people love to default to, "Oh, well, it was a long time ago." While I can see that just maybe being a proper excuse for certain situations, what is absolutely inexcusable is how one decides to address it. Ben's apology missed the mark, and when you do regret a situation, rectifying it is the only way to ethically right it. I'm not sure if anything went on behind closed doors between the two in the ways of an apology, but either way, as far as the public is concerned, not cool, Ben. Let's get into my second point, and what I would say is kind of a pivot from what the title of this video is: Ben as a person and the paparazzi. I mean, if we're being candid here, yeah, Ben has issues. That's obvious, anyone can see it. But honestly, all of these issues, while not excuses, can be explained by his very clear depression and deep mental health issues. A lot of people's grievances with him can be traced back to his dumb youth. He was cocky and full of attitude after coming off of the success of Good Will Hunting. When he began dating Jennifer Lopez, one of the biggest stars in the world at that time, the media frenzy that resulted completely violated their privacy. Suddenly, everyone was taking photos of the couple in intimate situations, and stalking was so heavily normalized that we still see the effects of lecherous paparazzi activities to this day. That all started from their relationship. If you couple that with a string of mediocre movies, people just started to hate Ben Affleck. There was a bit he did with a Quebecois interviewer where he was being overly flirtatious with her. They had agreed to do it to promote a show she was hosting. She even stated that it was all a hoax, but people chose to ignore it in favor of trying to find a valid reason to hate on him, besides him being kind of a mediocre actor with serious issues. The actor has been on a decades-long journey of trying to control his substance use issues. His own father battled alcohol and its presence in his life. In 1997, on the heels of rave reviews for Good Will Hunting, Ben decided to quit drinking for the first time. Quote, "I just wanted to stop. I started regretting some things I did when I was drunk." But sadly, it didn't end up working out for him, and Ben would soon revert to his old ways. He'd been in and out of rehab for years, including a stay in 2017 and in 2018. In fact, the 2018 stay was when Jennifer Garner, to whom he was divorced at the time, drove him to the hospital, despite them being separated and Ben being with another woman. She's a good person who genuinely saw Ben as a tragic case of both parental pitfalls and environmental stress combining to create bad habits that inadvertently harm those around him. She staged an intervention with Ben, who would sadly suffer another relapse after a year of being sober. When speaking about his relapse, he stated, quote, "My family history. The legacy of that is quite powerful and something that's hard to shake." I think, in turn, a lot of celebrities understand the pressure of the spotlight. To genuinely hate Ben Affleck for reasons other than being kind of a mediocre actor is to vilify those living with addictions and depression. In interviews, he stated that he feels more concerned about what his kids see and how they perceive their own dad rather than what we see as an audience. Our voyeuristic tendencies to look in on his life shouldn't mean anything in the face of making sure that his kids remain happy and know that their father loves them. Quote, "I got to a place where the public perception was so different from who I am that I just stopped reading and stopped caring. But then, as my kids got older and started seeing the internet themselves, that's the difficult part. Even the sad Affleck meme, that was funny to me. I mean, there's nobody who hasn't felt that way in a junket. But when my kids see it and I think, oh, are they going to think that their dad is fundamentally sad or they have to worry about me? That's really rough. And I think, honestly, that's where our attention needs to lie. Ben shouldn't be vilified by people who don't really know who he is, and feeling depressed and anxious should not be seen as him being a bad person because he's not. When he was on the Howard Stern show, his words were once again manipulated to paint the actor in a bad light. Quote, "I had gone on and said how much we respect each other," in terms of him and Jennifer Garner, "and cared about each other, and cared about our kids, and put them first, and went through our stuff. And they said that I blamed my ex-wife for my alcoholism, and that I was trapped in this marriage. Just made me out to be the worst, most insensitive, stupid, awful guy. I don't believe that. It's the exact opposite of who I am and what I believe. And I would never want my kids to think I would ever say a bad word about their mom." Ben so obviously needs help, and Jennifer is still trying to get him that help. And I hope JLo is too. He very obviously cares about his family, and if his own ex-wife is still committed to helping him out of the trenches, I don't see why the internet has to butt its head in and make everything worse. The pressure of a divorce is enough to make normal, everyday folks turn to substance use. Couple that with intense media scrutiny and a penchant for mental health issues, and it becomes a recipe for self-destructive disaster. Ben is an extremely eloquent person who himself has spoken about the shame he feels towards causing his divorce. Quote, "I drank relatively normally for a long time. What happened was I started drinking more and more when my marriage was falling apart. This was in 2015, 2016. My drinking, of course, created more marital problems." I feel that there is a genuine fault in Ben for what he did with the interview host, and if you're going to continue to hate him, do so for that. He was in the wrong and his apology was less than adequate. But to reason your negative feelings towards the actor because of the direct influence that unhealthy coping mechanisms have brought onto his life is extremely unfair. Only with love and care will people with substance issues be able to dig themselves out of the hole they've created. Ben himself echoes this sentiment, quote, "It's not particularly healthy for me to obsess over the failures, the relapses, and beat myself up. I've certainly made mistakes. I've certainly done things that I regret. But you've got to pick yourself up, learn from it, learn some more, try to move forward." Celebrities shouldn't have to warn us about Ben Affleck. We know he's going through hard times, and self-destruction often comes at the cost of destroying relationships with others as well. Shame and anger towards someone who's already on their knees is never the right approach.
Jennifer Lopez is known as a Hollywood triple threat that can act, sing, and dance. This has made her a true superstar in the entertainment business. But all those accolades have clearly gone to JLo's head, and other celebrities have had to warn us about her diva attitude in the past. First up, of course, we have Mariah Carey.
Even if you're not familiar with many of JLo's feuds, I'm sure you know that Mariah Carey hates her. That's because Mariah has not been shy about throwing shade in her direction. These two have been feuding ever since JLo started to make music, and started to steal her shine. Then when Mariah was asked about Lopez in an interview, she famously replied, quote, "I don't know her." Years later, when Andy Cohen brought up the beef on his show Watch What Happens Live in 2014, Jennifer Lopez played the whole thing off, saying, quote, "I don't have a feud against her at all. I know from back in the day, I've read things that she said about me that were not the greatest, but we have never met. Like, we don't know each other. I would love to meet her, and I would love to be friends with her." But then JLo was a little more savage on the Wendy Williams show when asked about the feud in 2016. Lopez said, quote, "She's forgetful, I guess. We've met so many times." But Carey doubled down in another interview where she added that she still doesn't know Jennifer Lopez. When Mariah had a mishap of her own during a disastrous New Year's Eve performance, Lopez took a break from the high road and liked an extremely shady tweet about Mariah. The tweet said, quote, "Ever seen an accident you couldn't take your eyes away from? That was her tonight." If you're wondering where this feud started, it all goes back to Mariah's ex-husband and music executive, Tommy Mottola. After getting married in 1993, Carey divorced Mottola in 1998 because he was very controlling. And to get back at her, Mottola started up JLo's career and did everything possible to make JLo a star, instead of Mariah. JLo sampled a number of Mariah-esque songs. There were even allegations she straight up copied some of Mariah's songs, but tried to make them more of a hit. All because of Mottola. But Mariah knows she still came out on top, adding, quote, "After all that shit, Loverboy ended up being the best-selling single of 2001 in the United States." So basically the whole feud is over career competition and the fact that Lopez was in cahoots with Carey's controlling ex. Rosie Perez. You'd think that JLo and Rosie Perez would be great friends, considering how much they have in common. Both women are dancers, are Puerto Rican, and grew up in New York. But the pair are not close, and it would be more accurate to say that they actually hate each other. According to Perez's 2014 memoir, Handbook for an Unpredictable Life, she has plenty of negative stories to share about JLo. In her memoir, Perez shared a story from the set of In Living Color. She wrote about Lopez, quote, "All of the girls were coming into my office complaining how she was manipulating wardrobe, makeup, and me, all to her advantage," and added she was acting like, quote, "some ghetto bitch," screaming and pounding her chest. JLo ended up leaving that show after 2 seasons, but the feud between the pair continued, and Perez claimed that Lopez would speak negatively about her whenever she got the chance. Even worse, Lopez was allegedly two-faced. She would talk trash behind Perez's back, but be nice to her face. Brandy. In the midst of the Mariah and JLo feud, Brandy publicly supported Mariah, making it clear she does not like JLo. In July of 2017, Brandy took to Instagram to share a photo of herself hugging Mariah Carey with the caption, #SheKnows Me. An obvious reference to Mariah's infamous "I don't know her" comment about JLo. All the comments were flooded with people speculating over the caption, and the consensus quickly became that the photo was a dig at JLo. However, Brandy later addressed the caption, writing, quote, "Oh my god, what happened? I swear to goodness, I didn't know what the fuss is about. I love this pic and now everyone thinks I'm throwing shade. At who? This is funny. Can't take this one down. I love this picture and whenever I'm throwing shade, it's not questionable, you know that I am." Later adding that Mariah does in fact know her. Mariah supported the post by commenting, quote, "I sure do." Even though Brandy is trying to convince us it's nothing shady, I honestly don't believe it. Next up, Nicki Minaj. It's long been rumored that Jennifer Lopez is a huge diva, and the fight that her and Nicki Minaj had while on American Idol brought up both of their diva sides. In 2012, Lopez was a judge on American Idol while Nicki came on to perform, and things got tense fast. After Nicki finished performing, she went over to the judges table and asked, quote, "I was hoping maybe I could come back and be a guest judge. JLo, can you scoot over a little bit?" JLo then responded, quote, "I don't know if there's enough room for both of us." Then Minaj took it up another notch backstage when she said, quote, "She didn't seem to be having it, but she's gonna have it." But she later added, quote, "We were just joking around." But it's clear the bad blood is still there. When Lopez performed at the 2015 AMAs, she sang a part of Minaj's song Anaconda. But I don't think Nicki got the memo that it was going to be happening, because when the camera panned to Nicki, she did not look happy. Fans totally saw the shade and started tweeting about it that night. Rihanna. Rihanna and JLo started feuding right around the time that JLo was seen getting cozy with Rihanna's ex, Drake. This all happened in 2016 when JLo and Drake took a photo backstage at JLo's concert. Once the photos came out, everyone assumed that they were dating, which probably got the attention of his exes. A lot of fans felt the whole thing was most likely a publicity stunt, but Rihanna took the rumors pretty seriously and lashed out online because of it. A source said at the time that Rihanna suffered, quote, the ultimate betrayal and dubbed Lopez desperate and a traitor. This was because Rihanna and JLo were really tight at one point, and Rihanna even got support from JLo during rough times with Drake. Then in December of 2016, Rihanna unfollowed JLo on Instagram, making her stance very clear. Jenna Dewan. When the pair started alongside each other on World of Dance, they seemed like they got along great. Lopez was a producer and a judge, while Dewan was a host and mentor on the show. But sources revealed that when the camera stopped rolling, the women hated each other. One source said about their relationship, quote, Jenna can't stand Jen's over-the-top theatrical fakery. Jen never fails to ham it up when the cameras are rolling, and she hijacks the show. It seems she'd prefer if Jenna just stayed in the background. The insider continued that JLo is a micromanager who tells everyone else what to do. Because of all her input, Jenna felt excluded and felt like her voice was not heard. Although there is a chance that this feud is not accurate, because when Dewan's team was asked about the feud rumors, they denied them. Ojani Noah. Jennifer Lopez has been married 3 times before. Her first and shortest marriage was to Cuban waiter Ojani Noah. Although their relationship ended in 1998, it's clear that Noah cannot stand her, and whenever asked about Lopez, he does not hold back his negative feelings. Back in 2006, he was actually set to release a juicy tell-all book about Lopez called The Unknown Truth, a passionate portrait of a serial thriller. But before it was set to be published, Lopez was able to stop it with a lawsuit. She argued that publishing the book broke their confidentiality agreement, and the courts agreed. From that lawsuit, she won $545,000 in damages, and Noah was forbid from criticizing or casting in a negative light or otherwise disparaging Lopez. Noah's name was brought up once again when he threatened to leak an intimate tape of the two of them on their honeymoon. Lopez then filed a $10 million lawsuit against him. When asked why the relationship ended, Noah blamed Lopez, saying, quote, I was looking forward to being with her for the rest of my life. It didn't happen. She made the choice of her career instead of me. And finally, Jennifer Lopez herself. Nobody has done more to warn us about JLo's sketchy behavior than herself, and some of the things she's done in the past are too terrible to ignore. Back when she tried to score a role in competition with actress Claire Danes, JLo said some harsh things about her competition, saying that Claire Danes does the quote, same thing with every character she does. Then Lopez bashed Winona Ryder, saying that she was not a big fan of her work. And finally, Lopez took aim at Gwyneth Paltrow, saying, quote, tell me what she's been in. I swear to God, I don't remember anything she was in. Some people get hot by association. I heard more about her and Brad Pitt than I ever heard about her work. Then in a different interview, Lopez decided to take aim at Madonna, specifically bashing Madonna's attempt at acting. Quote, do I think she's a great performer? Yeah. Do I think she's a great actress? No. Acting is what I do, so I'm harder on people when they say, oh, I can do that, I can act. I'm like, hey, don't spit on my craft. Aside from dishing out unnecessary shade to other celebrities, Lopez also has a reputation for being incredibly rude to service people. One United Airlines employee told the press how much of a diva she was during her flight. Apparently, he asked if she wanted a drink, and she replied, quote, I just said, what can I get you to drink? But Jennifer refused to even acknowledge me. She turned her head away and told her personal assistant, please tell him I'd like a Diet Coke and lime. Even though the stewardess was trying to serve her what she wanted, she refused to look, and made her assistant speak for her. It's so ridiculous and an unnecessary power play. But this interaction is nothing compared to the maid that was fired for asking JLo for an autograph. The maid later spoke with media and said she asked JLo's 2 assistants, who rejected the autograph. Then a day later, the hotel said that Lopez complained about the incident, and that maid was fired.